Okay, we are solving questions on pattern-based questions. So we already worked on nested loops. Nested loops are very much used in pattern-based questions. These are very important for building logics. So let's start with these questions. I listed all the questions here. So we're going to solve a couple of them, and after that you can try all other questions. Okay, so if you find any doubts you can ask me. Okay, let's start with this one. This is a first pattern based question, or you can say pyramid of star. So how we are going to solve this question? We have to use nested loops to print or give this particular output. Okay, let's start. We already know in nested while loop, internal loop is used to print the value and outer loop is used to change the line. That's it. So the pattern here is we have to print asterisk here. After that, line should be changed. In the second line, we have to print the asterisk 2 times. After that, we have to change it again. So this is the pattern. Okay. Uh, Printing will be 1 for the first time, and 2 for the second time, 3 for the third time, like this. Okay, so let's print something. So I'm directly printing a star or asterisk here. Okay, so now as we already know, internal loop is used to print the value. So I'm using a while we are going to give a condition here, and I'm printing something. Okay, now we are using another while to change the line. We already know this, so let's do it. So I'm giving this here, and this print will change the line. Okay, that's it. Now we have to figure out what conditions, how many times the outer loop will work and how many times the internal loop will work. Okay, so let's start. How many times we have to change the line? 5 times. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this statement should run 5 times. To make it run 5 times, we are going to give a condition here that is I less than equals to 5. Okay, in this condition, I is 1 is less than equals to 5, condition true, and this particular part will execute. Okay, so because of this, 5 times my line will be changed. Okay, so that's it. We have to increment the value of I here plus equals to 1. Okay, that's it. Now what we want in the internal loop, we want internal loop should print the value of star once for the first time. So if I write j, let me take another variable here. I'm not going to initialize the j variable outside of them. I'm going to initiate it here. We already know this because of the previous concept. Okay, now if I use j is equals to 1 here, now j is 1. If I write less than equals to 1, okay, because of this condition, this particular loop will execute only once. So if I write j is plus equals to 1, it will execute the value of j, increment the value of j, and this will be false. Okay, in the next condition. So this statement will work only once. If I change this place to 2, this 1 to 2, now the value of j is 1. 1 is less than equals to 2. This will print star for the first time. In the next line, j is 2. Okay, so this statement, the value of j will be 2. This will rotate. 2 is less than equals to 2, condition true. It will print a star again. Now we do not want to change the line. That's why we are going to use here an empty string. Okay, so this print statement will not change the line. We have to change the line after printing it multiple times. Okay, so this is a simple logic. Now there is a problem with this. Problem is when the value of I is 3 and we are here. Okay, now j is going to print 2 values again. So if I run this, it will print something like this. So we don't want to do or want to print something like this. We are not going to use 5 either. So if I use 5, it will print like this. So how we are going to solve this? We are going to change the value of 5 or change the value here in such a way that for the first time it will execute, for the first time here 1 should be there, then 2, then 3, then 4, something like that. So the only variable doing this is I. So if I write I here, the value of I initially is 1, the value of j initially is 1. So 1 is equals to 1, condition true, it will print star and increment the value of j. So the j is incremented, now the value of j is 2. This will be false. It will go outside and it will change the line. So it will print the star, change the line. Now the cursor is here. So if the cursor is here, I will rotate with the value of 2. 2 is less than equals to 5, condition true. The value of j is again 1. Here the value of I is 2. So, and the value of j is 1. 1 is less than equals to 2, condition true. It will execute for the first time. It will print the star and it will rotate again and run one more time. So 2 is less than equals to 2. So it will execute 2 times. That's why it's going to print 2 stars. Okay. So if you run this time it will work because of this dynamic value. Okay. So if you run this, so this is how you're going to print the value. So there's 2 rules only. First rule is internal loop will print the value and the outer loop will change the line. That's it. This is the only concept. So on this concept, we are going to build our further logics. Okay. So now we already know this. Let me copy this and let me paste here. Okay. Now focus on the next question. The questions are in order. So make sure you solve them in the order that I mentioned here. Okay. Even though you know the answer that I already shown to you, just solve this one more time. So it will help you build the logic. Okay. Now here what I want to print the value. It is same as the parameter of star. The pattern is in the parameter of star, but in place of star we want to print 1. In the next time we have to print 1 and 2. In the next time we have to print 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay. So how we are going to do this? We understand that we do not have to print the star here. We need some variable here, obviously, because variables are changing values. Okay. So for the first time I have to print 1. Okay. So if I execute this, it will print in the same pattern, but it will print 1 all over the place, something like this. So we don't want that. Okay. So what we want that on the second iteration of I, it should print the value that is 1 and 2. So the only value between I and j is 1 and 2 is j. Why? Because for this particular iteration, when we are printing something, the value of I is fixed. So we cannot use I here. Okay. So I'm going to use j. So now the value of j initially is 1. 1 is less than equals to 1, condition true. It will print 1 value and the value of j is 1. So 1 will be printed. In the second iteration, when the value of I is 2, this condition will be true, j will be 1. 1 is less than equals to 2. This condition is 2. It will print 1 again. In the next line, it will going to increment the value of j to 2. It will rotate, 2 is less than equals to 2. Condition true. It will print 2. Okay. So if I run this will work properly as the previous output, because in every iteration the value is changing. So this is what we wanted and this is what we got. Okay. Let's move to the next question. Next question is kind of similar to this one. So this time we have to print the parameter of star, but this time we are not going to print the star. We are going to print the value that is not repeating itself, obviously. So it is not changing, it is repeating. So if I change the value of j here to I, so why we are doing this? Because j will print the value in this way, this order. And we already know the only thing that is fixed in this particular loop is I. So if I change this to I, the value of I is 1 initially, so it will be true and the value will be 1. Okay, so if you rotate this one, so the value of I is 2, for example. So if you rotate, condition will be true, and j is 1. 1 is less than 2, so this loop will going to work 2 times, but both the time it will print the value of I, that is 2. Okay, so if you run this, it will print the same output that we wanted. Okay, so this is how we are going to work. We can work on logic building questions. So using these questions, just try to solve further questions. These are a little bit different. So you can solve one more question in this particular pyramid. What we want here, we want that the value of, like, pattern is the same. Pattern is the same as the previous one, but we have to decrement the loop in such a way that it is going to start from 5 and go towards 1. Okay, so we have to just change the value or start the value or decrement these values. Okay, so this is how you going to work on these. So let me solve this one. I'm going to solve this one. How we are going to solve this? On the first statement, on the first value, we need 5. Okay, so we need 5, and this is not changing, as you can see, the whole condition, because internal loop will print one value at a time. So it will print the same value multiple times. So it will print the same value multiple times. So we know that the only value that is not changing in this particular loop is I. So we are going to print I here. But the condition here is starting from 5. So let's start the value of I from 5. Okay, let's make it greater than equals to 1. So it will execute until the value of I is greater than equals to 1. When it is less than 0 or less than 1, it will be false. So let me decrement it. So minus equals to 1. Okay, so now we want to print the value of first value as this. So it will print 5 initially. Do we have to change this particular part? Because the value of 5, let's change this as well. So I'm starting this from 5, and this will be greater than equals to I. Okay, let's think about the solution first. So now the value of I is 5. 5 is greater than equals to 1. Condition true. J will be 5. Now 5 is greater than equals to 5. This condition is true and it's going to print 5. So first statement will be true. Okay. Now J is incremented. Let me decrement it. So now J is decremented by 1. It will become 4. Okay. This will rotate. 4 is greater than equals to 5. False. So this will not work. So my first statement is true. My first statement, first condition is true. Now line will be changed. So my cursor is here. Now I want 4 2 times. Okay. Now the value of I will decrement and it will become 4. It will rotate. 4 is greater than equals to 1. Condition true. J is again 5. Is 5 is greater than equals to 4? True. It will print the value of I, that is 4. Okay. J will be decremented and it will become 4. This will rotate. 4 is equals to 4. Yes, it is true. So condition will be true and it will print 4 again. So this is how we're going to work on this particular part, because pattern is similar. We have to check how this is printing the value. So only value that is not changing is I. Okay. If it change, let's change it to J. Simple. So let me solve one more question here. So now my pattern was this. The output is this, correct? Let me solve this one. So now pattern is similar, but the values are changing multiple times. So let me change this I to J and run this. As simple as that. Okay. So now the value is changing. That's why I'm printing the value of J. Okay. So J is the only value that is changing here. Okay. Correct. So this is how we work with pattern based questions. So just solve further question in the same order I mentioned here. Okay. So the level will increase. Okay. So that's it. Okay, this is how we solve this. Let's move forward with further questions. There are so many questions with while loop. While loop is the base loop for in all the languages. So if you master while loop, everything will be sorted because we can customize this loop, and it is very important to customize loop while building a logic. Okay, so that's it. Let's move forward with next topic.